Welcome to Rhythm, a podcast on being in balance through conversations with the Swami. Namaste Rhythm listeners. My name is Sunil. I'm with Swami Tadananda from the Ramakrishna Vedanta Center of Auckland, New Zealand. How are you, Swamiji?
I'm very good, Sunil. Bit cold. Winter is here, but all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good as well, Swamiji. Yes, winter is here. Definitely getting colder at nights at the moment and early morning as well. So Swamiji will carry on from the last episode. In the last episode, we talked about the subject of untimely death. And then we concluded right at the end by saying if our mind is slipping into a downward spiral for a person for which this is happening, that is in the situation, and we need some tools that would help lift this mind up. Can we carry on from there?
Yes, this is a delicate subject, but a very important subject when we hear the increasing incidences of depression, suicidal behavior. People just sometimes do not know what to do. It's affecting both the person who is suffering as well as those around. People feel pretty helpless. They seek help outside, Here we are discussing what we can do ourselves, so to say, how we can empower ourselves with the spiritual knowledge, understanding to lift that mind out of that dark space, so to say.
So the important thing here is these tools are all about helping oneself.
Oneself and a little bit those around us also.
Okay. People that are around can help as well.
So this is both educational for those people who can see, parents, family members, to whom somebody has approached. I'm not feeling good about myself. I'm having this not so nice thoughts and I'm trying to avoid them. I need help.
Yes.
Okay.
So what to do in this situation?
What to do for those. So let's discuss first about what others can do.
Yes.
And then we'll also discuss about what
this person can do.
Because sometimes that person is not in that mind space that this type of thoughts and ideas and knowledge that we're talking about, even though they might have heard it, they will not come to him.
Yeah, it won't be able to penetrate.
He'll not be able to avail that. He'll not be able to remember them and action them. See? So those around them, what at least initial help, reach out, give me your hand, I'll pull you up, and then the other person puts a little bit of his own effort and together they're able to come out. So first part is those around. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Then we talked about the general principle, the method about helping. Two things. So it's like somebody is drowning, is creeping up, but his feet is not touching the bottom of the pond or something. So he can't lift him. He doesn't know how to swim. Somebody can extend a hand or some stick and say, hold on to that and I'll pull you out. Okay. What is that others can do around him? That's important. Okay. Yeah. So let's try to understand a depressive mind. We say mind is a vortex of energy. Sometimes the mind, that energy has got like a tornado. It spins. It's not stationary. It will be moving. If it's moving in a particular direction, say a clockwise direction, then it's lifting up. And the same mind is spinning in the anti-clockwise direction, is going down.
That's right.
So all minds have some sense of direction. All right. A good positive mind is always filled with positive ideas, is able to lift itself from the problems, but sometimes get influenced by that negative, and the negative direction begins to pull them down. That's when they're drowning into it. Okay, sinking down that tunnel or downward spiral, so to say. And that's when they scream out, help me type of thing in different ways. Those around, if they can reach out with the right tool, can help that person out. So let's talk about that. But understanding the person in front of you as not only as a physical person is very important. There's a mind. There's a spiritual being. These three dimensions are what make us.
Yes.
The mind is a vortex of energy. Okay. It's either going up or down. There is higher energy inside us and lower energy. The body is the lowest level energy in our being. The mind is the middle level. the spiritual dimension is most powerful, like 2G, 3G, 4G. Okay, different planes of existence, different frequencies, and different amounts of energy available in that. So in spiritual life, let's say, why a spiritual person would not go, there's less chance of a spiritual person slipping down.
Yes.
Okay, because he is proactive in taking a preventative approach.
Yes, okay.
All right. So he says, I have this mind. There will be experiences in my life that might be uplifting and buoyant, or, it's opposite. But I will train myself that I have developed that capacity that I can do a little bit of self-help to lift my mind up. Yeah. So let's use a little bit of science in understanding the mechanics by which the mind is operating there. Energy flows from one thing to another.
Yes.
Okay, electricity flows from high voltage to low voltage.
Yes.
The sense of direction is a flow. Water flows from high pressure to low pressure. Mm-hmm. Okay. Heat flows from high temperature to low temperature. These are all heat. All these are different forms of energy, Mm-hmm. So imagine when our minds get connected to certain things in the world, there will be a flow of energy between me and whatever I'm connected to. If my mind is connected to something higher, then I'll have an inflow of energy into me.
Because it's flowing from the higher to the
source to lower source. All right. And if my mind is connected to something lower, then again there will be a flow.
Yeah, because you're the higher in that case.
Yeah, you're
and
the
therefore
higher.
you're losing energy to the lower.
It goes to the lower outflow. So when there is an inflow, then, like a battery is connected to a power supply, there's inflow, the battery gets charged. Water is flowing into a barrel, the water level rises. Heat is flowing into whatever substance, its temperature rises. That's an inflow. When it's an outflow, you get depleted.
Yes.
Okay. So now you can see that when you interact with the world, casually or intentionally, there are certain places you go and you feel uplifted naturally. There was an inflow of energy. You feel very good about it, You meet certain people who have a higher energy and it uplifts you. You like that company. That was very good. I enjoyed that company. You come out better. And then your other people, other situations you go where there's an outflow of energy. Okay. And you feel drained out and depleted. Okay. For those people who visit temples and places of pilgrimage, they go and for the time being, they have forgotten the world and their mind is in a beautiful, because that energy is flowing and charging them.
Yes.
All right. People make a special effort to go to such places. These are the places of pilgrimage. These are the places where that energy is high. If you imagine the world, the spiritual world, as not a flat land, but a terrain that has got valleys and mountains and plateaus and peaks. There will be certain places where the energy level is low. And if you go there, then you'll be in the deep valley ravine. And if you climb that whole peak, then the top of the peak, then you are in high energy space. So these places of pilgrimage, like in Hinduism, Banaras and Valurmat and, Vrindavan, these are high energy spaces, the Vatican, Makkah, these are high energy spaces. And there are other places around us there where there are low energy spaces, For example, if you go to a funeral parlor, somebody's, attending somebody's funeral. The moment you enter in there, there's 100 or 200 people. They're all thinking in a all those minds are tuned together. It's a very powerful vortex, and you step into that, you'll find it automatically drags you to its level forcefully. And you don't know the person there, everyone is crying, you might also shed a tear. All right, because that energy works on you. So one has to be very, very vigilant. You just can't take anything and everything very casually, mixing with people, what type of people you're talking to. At work and around, you'll find some people are there, always very cheerful. You go and talk, you smile, jolly, this and that. They exude that positive energy and people gravitate towards that. But then there are other people are there, morose, complaining, whinging, down, that type of thing.
Yes.
And you go and listen or sit down to them, you feel a little bit drained out. Some people, just like they suck the energy out of you.
Yeah.
Agree? So you're not...
Some meetings I come out of, and some days when I come home, I want to just go and sleep, even though I've just sat in some meetings pretty much.
Yeah, draining.
Just draining.
Yeah.
And it feels like you've probably done more physical activity, and then, and you,
Pulls the mind down.
Pulls the mind down. Just
yeah.
exhausted.
So it's good to understand the world that we are living in. It's not only a physical world. There's a mental world. The mental world is full of energies, thoughts, emotions, feelings. Energies are of different levels. Positives, there are peaks and plateaus. When you climb there, you are in a very good space. And there are these dark spaces, the valleys. When you get in there, everything is dark. One must know what to avoid, how to avoid. You can't just casually go around the world mixing with anyone and everyone, thinking and nothing happens. No. Always keep in mind, your mind is connecting with people, connecting with ideas, connecting with different things. And they are going to influence you. Either positive energy will come into you, seek that out. We talked about in the last episode how Sri Krishna gives the advice to Arjuna, make an effort to always lift the mind. Then you are your own friend. But if you are careless, or for whatever reason, your mind gets caught in the negative spiral and goes down, you will do self-harm. Your enemy is one who does harm to you, but not an external enemy. Your own mind becomes the enemy. Self-harm. Physically it might manifest by somebody cutting himself or trying to destroy the body, but actually the problem is not in the body, it's in the mind. That is where it has to be treated. So I think rather than talking in a very, very with jargons, we have a little bit of a practical, scientific understanding of what the mind is, how the mind is connecting, how energy is flowing. Now, imagine somebody in the family or around there is putting the signal up, need help. And if we can pick up, he says, for some reason, the earth under my feet is giving up. It's a sinkhole or something. I need help. How could you help? So if one has this understanding of these energies, then you say, what can I do? How I can be that positive energy that I can feed into it? Yeah. Okay. I have to be the positive energy myself. Then only I can give something else. All right. But I'm going to connect with that person. It could be positive thinking, talking, counseling, encouraging, engaging them in some positive activity or something like that. Just so that there's a exposure to that positive energy. All right. As much as possible. Yeah. So being positive around them. Don't go down and, make a big deal about, then you're just feeding the negative energy to them. If he's feeling bad, like somebody is sick and everyone comes around and talks about their sickness. Oh, how bad it is, and these are the symptoms. That is not good. You should talk about health,
Yes.
The positive energy that, that's good. You'll get well, all right. It's just a process, just blah, blah, blah. You talk, that person cheers up. But if 10 people come and look at the medical report and say, oh, this is so bad and this is so bad, that makes it even worse. Leaves a person, traumatized state there. So the people around should try to consciously create a sphere, a space, a positive energy space for that person. Yeah. Maybe sometimes it might mean moving out of that. Let's go out of the space where it is. Sometimes some particular places have negative energy where people have lived and done something has been very good. Places where murders have been committed or some crimes have been committed becomes a place of negative energy. Yes. When you go there, enter that house or that place, you'll feel something is not very comfortable, you see. Yeah. And if a person lives in that space, then that energy has got that negative effect on it. And so some people who know this, they're very choosy about, where they buy the house. It's not dependent on the cost of the house. They look for that. We have this Vastu in the Indian system. We have that in the Chinese, what do you call Feng Shui or something like that?
Feng Shui,
yeah. It's all about understanding that energy in which you are going to live in. Once make the right choices. Okay. So that is it. People might give somebody, I'm just talking about who others around them can help. House that is beautiful bhajans are going on, spiritual energy. This puja or something, let's say have a spiritual program around the house, invite some people where there's some devotional singing, some puja is happening. You try to create that house, fill that house with some positive energy. Okay. Positive conversations happening all the time. Reading some very good uplifting books. Books are sources of ideas, thoughts, and the person reads that they're feeding your mind with that energy, like putting water into barrel. Thoughts you're putting there. Up to so much you can do. In the very early stages, you can see that somebody comes home a little down, this and that. You cheer them up a little bit, as they say, talk something positive, and that person comes out of his back to his normal thing. Easily done in the early stages. But when it spirals down a little bit more, sometimes it's more difficult, when you're sort of left without tools. It is sometimes it's extremely difficult in there. So that's one part of it. Only so much people around can do. But at least the basic concept is I should be positive. I should be a positive source of energy to that person.
Yes.
He should be exposed to all those type of people also. So he should not be alone, all the good friends come around, relatives come around, talking around there. Take that person out for on a holiday or something like this type of thing, get out of that environment, and while you're there, see what else is available there in terms of positive energy.
Yes.
Okay. Does that positive energy mean going to the counselor? Well, you can ask what happens in that counseling session. I do not know. I haven't been to one. But understand, does he come off better or worse?
Yeah, well, I've been to some, and I think a lot of time the conversations are around trying to find the cause, the root cause of things, right? And so therefore you're talking about the negative stuff a lot more than what you would want to, right? So still, your mind is still in a very negative sort of state.
They stir that all those things up a little bit.
Yeah, stir the things a bit more.
Do they give you some positive energy in any way?
Yeah, well, I don't think so. It's mainly about trying to understand what's happened, and so it's always a bit negative. Positive stuff. So I think quite hard.
Anyway, but here's the science of it. You make the choices what's there. Okay, sometimes it might help if you've got a person who's a good counselor who knows what he's doing when he's interacting with that mind. But more so, what can that person do by themselves? Okay, that's more important because you might not have somebody around you.
Yes.
Okay, and when you need them, well, what one should not do and what one should do, both things have to be understood. One should not connect oneself to any lower energy. Don't go to people who would drag your mind down. Don't connect yourself to any source that will feed negative energy. And unfortunately, in this age and time, what's available on the internet, and I've read some of this, incidents of, where children got in their own quiet room at night. They're communicating with people out there who are feeding them so much negative energy, basically encouraging them in that direction.
Yes.
And dragging that in until those accidents happen.
Yes.
So those are extremely dangerous situations. Parents, if they know, they should cut off the internet. At least you're disconnecting them from that type of situations. Okay. Keep that person, don't let that person be alone. Let that be close in their, in the general company, interactive. So that's that person who's looking for help must be very careful to avoid all sources of people who can drag their mind down, who might encourage them or justify them or say, hey, you can do it, or type of thing. I'm telling because I've read some incidences where after the child had gone and the parents went and looked at what the child was looking through at night on his phone and said, for the last 1 week, the child was awake till 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock morning, and he was visiting these type of sites, and they saw this. My God, that is what really encouraged that person down that line, unknown to anyone. Parents are sleeping in the next room, and this is happening. So, by all means, that is to be avoided. Now, that's if they have that self-control and discipline there.
Yeah.
But what is the best way to avoid that? The thing is, when you get down there, sometimes you'll not think like we're thinking now. The normal, what we call normal thinking, these ideas that we're talking, suppose he has heard and read it, they will not be available to him because the mind has gone to a lower level and that negative energy is feeding into it. So these spiritual solutions are more of a proactive and preventative approach. How do we prevent ourselves slipping down that way? Okay. And that's why the spiritual disciplines of meditation and repetition of the mantra are extremely powerful, because when we meditate on some divine energy, divine personality in the core of our heart. Whatever you might want to visualize or conceptualize that being to be. If one is an atheist, one meditates or on one's own divine nature. I am a spiritual being. I am pure. I am perfect. I am eternal. I am immortal. I am of the nature of infinite knowledge, bliss. In our everyday meditation, we might not put a divine personality or God in there, but I am a wonderful being, a spiritual being. Even an atheist will accept that. That means that's his inner belief. I believe in myself and some higher power, potentiality that is there. I'm going to assert that as my identity. Okay. And I want to, during at least the hour of meditation, to lift my level of my identity from this physical body, from my mental body into my spiritual dimension. That is the constant effort, the logistics of it, or the logics of the mechanics of it, of what we are trying to do during meditation and spiritual practices. We're trying to lift that mind, which Sri Krishna was telling, raise yourself by yourself, do not lower yourself. By connecting ourselves to this mind to our higher self, you might represent that with some deity, if you wish, Rama, Krishna, Christ, Buddha, or that infinite power that's in me. Making that connection is important thing.
Yeah.
Whichever way. If you can't have an abstract idea that, a devotee makes it becomes easier for a devotee because he can visualize divine personality.
Yeah, person's
and
face.
it's a caring, loving, protective being. So it's very natural. Okay, I'll seek out that help, and the divine is my protector, my guide, just like my mother and father, and he will provide and protect me. But if somebody doesn't have that belief, then it's more difficult to make that abstract connection to that abstract idea that I'm a spiritual divine being. Okay, but in either case, that power source is available within us in our spiritual dimension. The important thing is to make that connection. And if somebody morning and evening meditates, regularly, then they have developed this capacity to willingly, consciously lift the mind up. Okay, and the natural level of the mind will be higher than otherwise. That's why before going out to work, going out in this world, it's good to charge yourself, lift your mind up. Do sit down for 15-20 minutes and do an intense meditation. We know that the world is going to drag it down.
Yes, so you start.
But I prepare myself before I go. And then during the day, the world will drain you out, as you say. You come back mentally exhausted, drained. Physically you haven't done very much, but your mental energy is very low. And that's why it's again important in the evening to give another dose of that.
Another dose of
meditation. Yeah, and you'll find that recharge, and you'll find that you'll be better, you'll sleep better, you'll be ready for the world better. So that is meditation. Most people would not find difficult to meditate. Meditation means keeping your mind anchored or connected to some divine source. So you think visualize the divine presence, but in between other thoughts will creep in, break that concentration and hijack that mind and take it to what you have been doing. And that's what most people struggle with. But you have to keep on training yourself until that capacity to increase that connection,
concentration and so on.
Increases also.
Yes.
Becomes more and more and more. And the flow of that energy is strengthened.
Yeah.
But for those people who cannot simply meditate,
yes,
the practice of the repetition of a mantra is very, very powerful. Okay? Because mantras are the energy connectors, you might say.
Okay.
It's a bridge. Mm-hmm. So the mantra always have a divine personality, a particular deity as its essence. Imagine that there is a being of power, of a high energy in a high spiritual dimension, represented by these divine forms. Okay, Ganesha, Krishna, Christ, Buddha, all those are there. Very compassionate, benign, helpful, but I have to make a connection.
Yes, okay.
So the mantra will have a deity, the name, and a few things in there. Okay, but basically it is the connector. Mm-hmm. It's just like in the house you have got a Wi-Fi, but you need a password to make that connection.
Yes.
If you are not connected, you are not able to draw down any data.
Yes.
Okay. So imagine there is this very high frequency, high energy, 6G, 10G connection of
energy
there.
Source, yeah.
Energy.
Yeah.
And you have your data, the password is there that you can connect your device.
Yes.
Device is your mind to this energy source.
So you use the mantras.
Yeah. And mantra is that connector part of it, And so by repetition of the mantra means you're making that connection again and again and again until it locks in.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may say the signal has dropped. Okay, that means a disconnection has happened. The data is not coming out. For most people in the early stages, it keeps on dropping off. Okay. But you work yourself. You keep on working and that signal will become better, synchronizing better. At some point, it becomes perfectly connected. See? Then you are safe. Such a mind that is connected to some spiritual source habitually, or one has trained oneself. How has it happened? Well, as a young age, the parents taught the child this Gayatri mantra. Okay, a Gayatri mantra is a very powerful mantra, Mahamrityunjay mantra, or one gets initiated in a particular mantra. There's a personal mantra for you. Any of those things have tremendous helps in this, in tools available to that person to manage or navigate through life, where they can go out in the world and do all those things, knowing that the world will have a tendency to drag it down, but they can bounce back because they have a tool to lift their mind up again.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So knowing the possibilities of all this, the dangers that are around, and you do not know when and where it can happen, one has to be proactive and preventative, be armed so that these negative ideas cannot touch them. See, there's a whole science of it. Look, in this space where we are, there's a lot of signals here. So many TV channels, TV radio stations. And if my mind is like a radio, it will catch the channel to which it is tuned to.
Yes.
Okay. And if I change the channel to another one, the first one will drop out and the next one will appear.
Yeah.
So likewise, imagine that the mind can either go up, and when it goes up, it is now receiving all the positive beta energies.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And you expose yourself to that positive thoughts and ideas that have been put there in the mind's mental space by all wonderful thinkers, okay, saints and sages and spiritual energy. And then that lifts you up again. And then you catch the next level. So that is how it spirals up, lifting up. It is like, an eagle that is flying up in the sky. Sometimes you see it flies without flapping its wings. Why? It is riding that hot air current. It has found that hot air current and it knows how to hold itself there. It's not remaining stationary. That hot air current is lifting it up.
Right.
Okay, almost effortlessly. But the other side is Suppose the mind slips down. The first danger is that slip, because it goes from level 1 to level 2 down, say, then the negative energy of that lower plane begins to enter into that person again. All right. It's not just that the mind came down. Now you have exposed yourself to that lower energy also, all around. Thoughts are powerful. Ideas are powerful. They are not contained in our head. That's around us also. And suppose those negative energies enter you, what happens then? It drags the mind one level down, one notch down. And what's the result of that? Well, even lower energy enters into you.
Yeah, so it's a spiral, right?
That's how the spiral comes.
Yes.
Okay. So if you leave it for too long, okay, people...
Which is why we need... This practices need to be done daily.
Yeah. And
so it keeps on lifting things up, right?
Done daily, or when you see people see somebody going down or not feeling, and you ignored that person or didn't respond early, then he's not stationary, he's sinking. And sometimes they will reach too low that when you extend that long stick to the drowning person, he can't catch it. That's where the real danger is, actually. That's where accidents happen. You lose them,
So prevention is better.
Of course. That's why in our wellness program approach, we understand this, explain all this psychology of the mind, how the mind, all these planes of how the mind operates, knowing the dangers are there. What is a proactive, preventative approach to save us from these pitfalls in life.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji. I think that's a good explanation today. We've learned a lot. We've talked about energy and the flow of energy from high states to low states. We've talked about the tools that we can use to lift energy levels, which includes support from others that can share the higher energy that they have created, and also from within ourselves, right? Things like meditation, mantra japa, and other spiritual practices. So thank you. That's been a very enlightening episode. Well, a question I have, I suppose, we'll leave it for the next one maybe, or the one after, is you talked about a person that is initiated into the mantras. What does initiation mean? Some of our listeners would not know what that is. So maybe something that we can talk about.
I know we did introduce as part of our tools is meditation, and briefly explain what we're trying to do during meditation. And I talked about mantra and mantra shakti, the power of mantras. How do they work, basically? If you understand something, then you will use it well. Like if the doctor explains to you this antibiotic and how it's going to work through your body and all those things, and said, okay, I'll take the whole course as prescribed by the doctor. But if you don't have that understanding and don't have that faith in the medicine also, then you'll not take it and the medicine will not be useful. So it's good to have some understanding, knowledge of what these mantras are and where we get them and how they work. So then you'll seek one out for yourself and have something to, use that to nature and strengthen your own mind. When we say build resilience, people say, be resilient. Well, resilience means developing that internal energy. If you don't give the tools to somebody and say, hey, just be resilient, you're just setting a benchmark, but you're not giving that support that is there. So if you wish, we can take that up in the next episode.
Definitely, we'll do. Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you. Most welcome, Sunil.
Thank you for listening. Being in balance, rhythm. For more information, please visit www.vedanta.nz.